when you find out the reverse grip is your new sumo, why would you not do it? He told me the Russians had a trick. I've never tried this trick, but you're welcome to try this trick. All right, guys, so I want to talk about the reverse grip bench press. Most people know the reverse grip bench press from a bodybuilding standpoint. People use it for triceps. So historically, Dave Draper used it for an alternate bench press grip that focused on triceps. Some people said even involved more upper pecs, but we're not talking about bodybuilding, hypertrophy training of the sort. I want to talk about how it's relevant to powerlifting. So in powerlifting, the whole nature of the sport is somewhat legalized cheating. It's economy of motion. So, no matter how much people sometimes don't like it, how you're built and your anatomy is the whole nature of the sport. If I have short femurs, I'm going to squat better than I have long femurs. We know this. If we go back 25 years ago, sumo deadlifts were very infrequent, and almost nobody did it. In fact, out of 30 weight classes in out of 13 weight classes in men's powerlifting, 10 of the classes, all-time world records were done in conventional form. Nobody did sumo. Mike Bridges did sumo, Hideki Inaba did sumo, 70s, 80s, but there are like 2 or 3 people, it's almost nobody, and a few Asian women. So I feel the same way about the reverse grip bench press. I think the reverse grip bench press is an untapped lifting style, specifically for raw, and especially for female lifters. The reverse grip bench press it shortens the range of motion. It automatically brings it to a lower point in the body above the hips. It tightens your lats and acts as a cushion. And as you exert force, it drives your elbows in, just like you're using a bench press shirt, actually. So I want to demonstrate this today. I want to demonstrate this with Gabby today, and we're gonna go over the technique on it. And I want to talk a little bit about how I think that this could be the magic formula that takes off to become the next sumo deadlift in powerlifting, in my opinion. All right, so I have about right at 100% success ratio when it comes to female lifters. Now, it's equally as successful for men, I'm sure, but women as a whole, especially more of a novice to intermediate level female lifter, is going to have a weaker chest and shoulder, upper body structure than a man. And so typically with a woman on a regular bench press, it's usually a weaker lift. They're stronger in the squat and the deadlift. And I think the reverse grip's the great equalizer. I've never had a woman, a female lifter, that's a beginner to intermediate, that has not reverse grip benched their PR in 2 to 3 workouts. Within 2 to 3 workouts of doing it properly, they will tie or exceed their best ever traditional bench press. I want to point out real quick that, of course, people remember Anthony Clark. In the 90s, Anthony Clark had a string of all-time world records in the bench press reverse grip. I think you're going to find that a lot of people who've tried reverse grip have done really, really good and then not done it. They've shied away from doing it because nobody does it. They think, well, I don't want to do that because nobody does that. There's a couple of federations that don't allow it, but for the most part, people aren't doing reverse grip because nobody else does reverse grip. But when you find out the reverse grip is your new sumo, why would you not do it? Of course you want to lift more weight. That's the nature of the sport. So Gabby's here on the bench today. Jimmy Kolb has been here and he's talked about reverse grip in his training. Several people have done it, but as a former equipped lifter, I look at the reverse grip very much like a bench press shirt. So when the lifter sets up, that's a good grip. It's about where her forearms will be perpendicular to the ground. Her fingers are at an angle. I mean, she's flared. She's definitely not underhand like this. She's going to be putting it across the midline of her hand. There are people like Jimmy that put it between their finger and a flipper style grip. That's okay. But the lift off is important. You can do it yourself unless you have a proper safety stuff. It's good to have a handoff. But when I lift off to her, I'm going to lift up and I'm gonna roll it out into her hands and make sure that she's tight in the lats, just like a bench press shirt. It's in her hands here. So when she brings it down like a bench press shirt, tighten the lats and explodes up, boom. a couple more reps. Now, sometimes I'll put my hand right here and I'll direct them. So pretend she's pushing it right to my hand. Bam, straight up. Do a couple more. Pause, bam, and then one more. And push, boom, good. Now, when she's doing that, she's bringing the bar right here. She got strong hips and legs. So she's almost bisecting her body in the lower line, able to use her hip and leg drive right under the bar. The bar's not up here on the top third, it's right in the midline. So that makes it very effective. I want to address the bench press shirt technique again, not the bench press shirt, because we're talking about a lift that would definitely be what I believe is the future of raw benching for a lot of people in competitions. But when we use bench press shirts, the technique with a traditional poly bench press shirt was you would lift the bar 1, 2, 3. It would come out and you'd feel the shirt, which was pulled low. You'd feel the shirt settle into the lats. As soon as it fell into spot, you knew you were in the sweet spot. You could hold it there for 10 minutes and have a conversation because it was just sitting right there. And when you brought it down, you didn't bring your elbows down. You brought the bar with your lats. You brought the bar this direction, binding it up, and then you reached down to touch low so you could blast it through with a good line of power. That's exactly what the reverse grip bench does. So the reverse grip bench is out and up in a straight line, exactly like a bench press. So let's do a couple reps here. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna lift out. I'm gonna roll it into her hand. She's tight in the lats. Hips, boom. Explode, bam, good, nice. So the other benefit of the reverse grip, and I think everybody probably knows this, but it's been very successfully used by a lot of lifters with shoulder injuries. Now, I'm not gonna quote things out of my knowledge base, but I feel like underhand pitching, for example, there are people that can throw similar speeds underhand with far fewer shoulder injuries than baseball pitchers overhand. I think, and it's biomechanically speaking, it's a safer position on your shoulder underhand. Phil Harrington, who trained at Westside, he trained at North Georgia Barbell at my gym prior to going to Westside, and we switched him over to reverse grip because he was having shoulder problems, and he hit some big benches, and he's known for being the guy with the reverse grip bench, Phil Harrington. I had a female lifter, Shorty Baldwin, at my gym. She was has the third all-time masters bench press. In the 165 weight class, she benched 291 raw with a reverse grip after shoulder surgery. So I think if people if they have shoulder problems, I think reverse grip is a fantastic training tool. That's fairly known. You can do reverse grip floor presses. You can do reverse grip, off a rack. Some people do it off a Smith machine. But I think that I really think that if more people try it, they're going to find that some people might not be perfect for them, but for others, it might be the answer to wow, I've been missing this. This is my sumo. I got 30, 40 more pounds out of my reverse grip bench than I ever could bench before, and I just never tried it. In 1995, I walked into the APF Senior Nationals in Dallas, Texas, hosted by Radar Capehart, and Dave Tate actually looked in that same competition. It was my first APF Seniors. I was 21 years old. I don't have the biggest hands in the world. And I was getting in the mid-7s in the deadlift and starting to have grip problems. Now, nobody was doing hook grip back then, but you'd be pulling the weight and it'd come out of your hand. So I shook hands with Scott Warman. Scott Warman was a lifting legend. He was a 275 champion in the APF for years and USPF before that. And I shook his hand, and he was an 859 deadlifter, and his hands were the same size as mine. And I said, man, this guy's gonna have the trick, how to train my grip. So I said, Scott, what do you do for your grip? And he said, I do bar holds. Now, this is probably nothing revolutionary to anybody. Timed bar holds. So I went back to the gym and I started doing timed bar holds, and my grip got a lot stronger. It was as simple as I started off with 315 for about 30 seconds. I dropped it. I got to where I could do 405 for a minute and a half. of course, you're grabbing the bar, and you're just going to pick it up and hold it, and you just zone out. You just close your eyes and breathe, and by the time at the very end, you're going to be shaking, and it's going to pop out of your hand. Time you're done. I thought that was a cool idea, and it worked. And when I saw the metric of it going from 315 for 30 seconds to 405 for a minute and a half, I didn't drop bars until I got into the 800 pounds range. Now, I was talking to Andy Bolton one day, and I said, Andy, do you do bar holds for your grip? He said, I do them with liquid soap. I said, what? Liquid soap? I've never thought about this. Well, Andy puts liquid soap on his hands, and then he grabs the bar just like Scott Warman did, but when he picks it up, it comes right to his fingertips immediately. And so right from the start, you're not gonna do much weight. So I used 315, and it was in my fingertips, and from the very first second, it's already shaking, and it's in my fingertips, and it's shaking. And I held it for about 20 seconds, but I got a lot out of that because it goes right to the fingertips. So you're holding it at that point where if you're fighting that lockout and it was coming out of your hand, that might be the difference between getting the down command and not. So I love the idea of liquid soap as a bar hold alternate. I love the idea of putting baby powder on your hands. That works too. And then last but not least, the Ed Cohn method, not to be forgotten, is the sideways bar hold. But Ed Cohn has hands that are 12 inches from top to bottom, so he already has good grip. All right, guys, so I want to talk about knee wraps for a second. I know a lot of lifters lift raw and use sleeves these days, which is fine. But if you use knee wraps in competition, you usually wrap them the same direction that you are. If you're right-handed, for example, all my life I've wrapped my knees this direction. I've come to the other leg, and I've wrap my legs this direction because I brace it. I wrap with my right hand where I can apply pressure and get a good wrap. If I had somebody else wrap my knees and they're right-handed and they're facing me, they're probably also wrapping the same direction, but the other direction. But seldom does anybody ever think about wrapping this one this way and this one this way, because it's almost impossible to do unless you're legitimately ambidextrous and you can use both hands and do it. So in a perfect world, you'd probably get somebody on each side, one person that's left-handed, one person that's right-handed, to wrap your knees the same direction. So my reason for bringing this up is I have a theory. Most lifters that I know that are in the game a while, been wrapping the knees since they were younger, they always have one knee that has a problem. I have a knee replacement on my left knee. My friend Mike has a knee replacement on his left knee. We're both right-handed. We both wrapped our wraps the same direction our whole life. I thought of this one day when I was wrapping a girl I was coaching, and I was wrapping her knee, and she kept telling me her one knee always hurt. And it was the other knee because I was facing her. And I thought, I've never considered this, but all the powerlifters that I know that have knee replacements or knee problems have it on the other leg that they are handed. So I think that's something to consider. It's something to consider. If you're wrapping one patella in, even if you're squatting and you're pushing your knees out and you're pushing back, you have a wrap that's still pushing in while you're pushing out, fighting your patella. So it would make sense to wrap them the same direction. You sit back, your knees push out, and the wraps are actually tracking the same direction. So again, not thought of very often because we just wrap the way we wrap, but it's an interesting thing to consider. All right, guys, so you're at a competition. You get your opener, and you tear your hand open. It doesn't typically happen with lighter weights, but that's all relative. And so you're pulling the bar, and it tears your hand open, and a big hunk of skin flaps out, and your hand's bleeding. If it's a little flake of skin, you're probably just gonna cut it off and you're fine. But if it gets in deep enough, if you have a heavy weight and you tear a big chunk of meat out of your hand, and it's bleeding, the protocol has always been to think first, oh my God, I got 2 attempts left and I have a bleeding hand. So you take a pair of scissors and you usually cut, this is protocol, you cut the skin back, or a pair of fingernail clippers, take chalk and you blot it and dig chalk into it, and you go up and you go for your second attempt and you drop it almost 100% of the time, because you're grabbing a knurled bar with a maximal weight with a hand that has a gaping hole in it. So I was talking to a guy that's a friend of mine, and he used to go to the IPF Worlds every year and write the articles for Powerlifting USA, Dr. Patrick Anderson. He told me the Russians had a trick. I've never tried this trick, but you're welcome to try this trick. So he said he saw the Russians and he saw a guy tear his hand open. And so I'm the Russians' coach, and here's his hand, and it's got a big open gaping hole of bleeding. I've already cut the skin back because I don't want it to tear worse. And I'm waiting for that bar to be loaded. So I'm waiting. Give me a second, I'm waiting. They say bar loaded. I got about 20 seconds. I got 20 seconds, this is gonna work. You take a wire brush and you take it into the open wound and you dig the bristles in and you violently just grind the open wound. Now, the person's probably not watching who's the lifter because they don't want to see that, but they're gonna be in excruciating pain for a second. And the brain shuts off the pain receptors. And you have exactly, you're good. You have exactly 15, 20 seconds to go grab that bar and pull it. You won't feel anything because it shuts it off. It's too painful, it's too extreme. And you can run up there and you can pull the weight. And as soon as you put it down, you're gonna be in pain again. But the wire brush secret, I've never tried it, but I think you should.